working with them, working with accepting them and working with them with those limitations. In doing so, I like to focus on what we call mindfulness, a practice that comes from Buddhist meditation practice, and today, which has been researched and adapted to secular environment, like office places, working environment, family environment like this. Mindfulness is the capacity to help us to stay at the present moment instead of ruminating and fighting with the past experiences, which would limit our capacity to operate here and now. So I have selected 2 video clips. Actually, both are from TED Talks. From TED Talks, I'd like to show them. Hey, Durawan, send them to Bila. Limitation, again, that's what I do. Niyarai Mashi. Niyarai Mashi. Yadu Jili, Bobiro, Twili. Yadu Jili, as a poesy Jili, Bobiro, Twili. Aja, UN environment, load of Pokuri, like the limitation in a mu to ya. Obama a dream which Ban Ki Moon, Padkupio, Milamity, Pomocom, Mammy, at American and Chawinchine, take that to there. Or the Rogo, we Payamala, so now American and Chawinchi go around that way. To my limitation in my convention is she, Eddie Pound and it needed. So I looked at her. So I could vision, however, Eddie Tamara Poma, Yai Muti. Tamara go low nine last American Tamara to let come low nine. Congress gun. She a Congress like come low nine. Tamara she, not Tia she. Taka federal was level my she did a state level. I'm Yai. Eddie our G Mason, yeah. At the limitation is the choke to come. I do need 9 portrait. Yen chance I do need 9 portrait to the bow. I've seen look at the high. The choke limitation they are all. To mean that look up and the zone day out or party to cool ye. A Josie wow G-Biro to a or Tashi that limitation delay. But look at the limitation, you look at the limitation. That is tweet join. I tweet join at him. Goga number 3. I'm yard a lotion and motivation. Jamadwao. The limitation didn't inside a camera. Go ye sit a Jamadwao. But a low matter. Tini Adika Taliban. So first we are going to look at the sciences behind mindfulness. This is the TED Talk, I think, or maybe a talk at the World Economic Forum. A scientist from Yale University. Okay.
One of the things that seems to stand in our way of being happy is that shit happens. And this is actually the common denominator for all human experience. The fact is that even if we are the luckiest, most effective people on the planet, life sometimes deviates from our plan. And it's just like the Rolling Stones said, you can't always get what you want. And that can be quite stressful. But of course, we all know that shit happens. What is is less well known is that we also all have the power to change our experience of this shift, to train and learn how to have a better attitude about it, and how to suffer less through really anything that might happen to us. Today I'm going to show you evidence that this kind of training can not only make you feel better, it can also change the way that your brain works. And the key practice I'm going to talk about is the practice of mindfulness. Now, mindfulness is rooted in ancient Buddhist traditions that are aimed at the cessation of suffering. It's actually part of a system of practices that include things like loving kindness, generosity, and compassion, and it's cultivated through the practice of mindfulness meditation. In a secular context, mindfulness has actually been studied for over 30 years, and many scientists, including me, about a two-component process, where the first component is attention that is oriented to this present moment, to whatever is happening to you, so you can engage with your life. The second component is attitude, and it's attitude that's open, it's curious, and it's accepting of this moment exactly as it is. And one classic instruction is to pay attention on purpose and without judgment. Or in the words of the Beatles, you just let it be. Now, why might training like this be useful? Well, one reason is because most of us are incredibly distracted pretty much all the time, and we miss a lot of what's happening to us. One study showed that our minds are actually wandering almost 50% of the time and during every single activity, even during sex. And what's worse is that mind wandering is actually related to being unhappy. And that suggests that being mindful in itself might make you happier. And it leaves you a lot more time and energy to act wisely and make good decisions. That means that being mindful allows you to respond to the world rather than react to it. And how does mindfulness do that? Well, one way it does it is by altering the brain's defaults. That is a default mode network, and you can think of it as our autopilot. It's a network of regions that's more active when our mind is spontaneously wandering and less active when we're focused on a task. And to test whether mindfulness meditation altered these defaults, we recruited experienced mindfulness meditators, not Buddhist monks, but healthy Western adults who just happened to meditate for many years, kind of like me. And we then scanned their brains using fMRI and compared their brain activity to the brain activity of well-matched people who've never meditated. What we found is that experienced meditators actually report a significant lower amount of mind wandering and less activity and connectivity in their default mode network. Does it mean that you all need to practice many, many years to change your defaults? Apparently not. Much less training already starts changing your defaults. In one study, stressed adults were recruited and randomized into one of two conditions. They either did intensive mindfulness training for 3 days or 3 days of a control training. The results showed that even after 3 days of intensive mindfulness training, there were already some similar changes to the default mode network that were similar to what we saw with the experienced meditators. In addition, those who meditated also showed a reduction in an inflammation marker that is related to disease risk. In comparison, those who did the control training actually showed an increase in this inflammation marker. In addition, the default mode network actually was responsible for some of the reduction in inflammation. This suggests that mindfulness training changes your brain, it changes your emotional experience, and it changes your body in a way that makes you more resilient to stress and disease. And there's even more good news here. You might start noticing some of the benefits of mindfulness meditation as soon as the first time that you try it. We tested this in a few recent studies. We recruited individuals who've never meditated, and we randomized them to either meditate for 10 minutes for the first time or do a control activity for 10 minutes. We then tested their performance on a task that required both accuracy and speed. What we found is that those individuals who meditated for the first time, overall, were faster or more accurate than those who didn't meditate. And we also saw changes in brain activity that suggested that their brains are more attuned to the task, allowing them to perform better. What this means is that in the time that it might take you to just briefly check your email, you might try to meditate for 10 minutes, and you might have an improvement in your cognitive performance. So in conclusion, I invite you to ask yourself, do I want to be more focused? Do I want to be more present? Do I want to have more time and energy to act wisely and make good decisions? If you answered yes to any of these questions, you might want to try mindfulness meditation. Now, mindfulness is not for everyone, and it's not a panacea, but we know that it can fundamentally alter your brain's defaults. We know that it can reduce your stress and make you more focused. And importantly, it can allow you to live in this moment, accepting it exactly as it is, maybe even loving it exactly as it is, even if shit happens. Thank you very much.
I'm not sure if she's asking you too much. Instead of checking your email to meditate for 10 minutes. That should include checking Facebook and Twitters. I have a book in my hand now, so for happy. This is by an author called Mo Goddard, Chief Business Officer from Google. Chapter 10, I'd like to quote in paragraph 2. Matt Killingworth, this is a person who works on mindfulness. Obtract Your Happiness, ORG. Okay, that's the address that you can. Ran a study with more than 15,000 participants who reported, sometimes minute by minute, how they felt and what they were doing at the time. The study collected more than 650,000 reports and presented a profound discovery. Regardless of what people were doing at any given time, they were noticeably happier when they were fully present. When you are at the present, meaning if you are aware of what you are thinking, if you are aware of what you are feeling, if you are aware of what you are reacting to the situation. As soon as that awareness comes in, you are in control. But if you are not aware of that, one part of the brain that the years scholar Dr. Cooper referred to the amygdala, that part of the brain can hijack your emotion process, your thinking process the whole day, maybe the whole week. Sometimes it happens to people the whole life. If you remember your basic biology lesson, and this is how a professor from Harvard Medical School would remind you about the basic function, function of the brain. That is just like this, and your thumb in, and then the 4 fingers covering it. The thumb is like the old brain that we have. The old brain is called the amygdala. It's the limbic area that is responsible for fear center. It scans threat and danger all the time. It is called protective mechanism. We need to have this. We need to have this, not just human being, but also animal. Okay, animals have this. It's the amygdala, the fear center. This one is situated at the back of the brain. So that's the old brain according to evolution theory. Then human being, we have this one. This is unique only to human. The animals don't have it. The ability to speak, to communicate, to feel, to express emotion, to calm down, to make informed decision, to plan well ahead, this kind of thing. It comes from this part of the brain. And this is, you can call hippocampus area, and she mentioned that as well. In between, just behind this, which she didn't mention, is the anterior cingulate cortex. It's Harvard Business Review, Mindfulness, Emotional Intelligence. I'll let her read you. A long reading, okay? We contributed to this research in 2011 with a study on participants who completed an 8-week mindfulness program. 8 weeks, that is, once a week you meet and study just for 2 hours. So altogether it's about 30 hours. We observed significant increases in the density of the gray matter. People used to say the brain doesn't improve anymore as you get older. Now this is not the case anymore. People study who meditate and who don't meditate, and people who keep meditating who can control their emotion. The gray matter in their brain still grow thicker. Neuroscience labs from around the world have also investigated ways in which meditation, one key way to practice mindfulness, changes the brain. This year, a team of scientists from the University of British Columbia and from the Chinese University of Technology were able to pool data from more than 20 studies to determine which areas of the brain are consistently affected. Altogether, 8 areas that they focus on. The first is the anterior cingulate cortex, ACC, a structure located deep inside the forehead behind the brain's frontal lobe. This is frontal cortex, so just behind this. The ACC is associated with self-regulation, meaning the ability to purposefully direct attention and behavior, suppress inappropriate knee-jerk responses, and switch strategies flexibly. People with damage to the ACC, meaning to that part of the brain, show impulsivity, and unchecked aggression, and those with impaired connection between this ACC and other brain regions perform poorly on tests of mental flexibility. They hold on to ineffective problem-solving strategies rather than adapting their behaviors. Meditators, on the other hand, demonstrate superior performance on tests of self-regulation, resisting distraction, and making correct answers more often than non-meditators.တရားထိုင်တဲ့အခါမှာအုံနောက်ကိုဘယ်လိုပြောင်းလဲစေလဲဆိုတော့အခုသိပ္ပံပညာအတိအကျပြောတယ်။ကမ္ဘာပေါ်မှာထိပ်တန်းတက္ကသိုလ်တွေ top university တွေကဒီ program တွေရှိအဲဒါဘုံကတခါမြန်မာပြည်မှာဘုံတို့တရားထိုင်တဲ့ရိပ်သာလည်းအများကြီးရှိတယ်။အဲ့ဒါ university တွေကဒါလေးresearch လုပ်နိုင်တဲ့ကောင်းပါပဲတကဘာလုံးကိုအကျိုးပြုဒီ research လေးလုပ်နိုင် Oxford မှာတော့ရှိတယ်ပထမဆုံးစတင်ထားတဲ့ Oxford Mindfulness Center ဘုံ trustee ထဲမှာပါတယ်အဲ့တော့ဘာပြောချင်တော့ဆိုတာအခုကပို့ပြီးတော့ခက်ခဲတဲ့အရာပေါ့နော်နိဗ္ဗာန်ချမ်းသာတရားတော်မြတ်ကိုရပါလို့ဆိုတာအဲ့ဒါနေ့တိုင်းမနေ့ရောညနေရောဆုတောင်းတဲ့လူတွေရှိအဲ့လိုဆုတောင်းတာမကောင်းလားဆိုကောင်းတယ်ဒါပေမဲ့ we need to stay grounded ဒီ social skill နေနဲ့ကိုယ်နဲ့အလုပ်လုပ်နေတဲ့လူတွေနဲ့အလုပ်လုပ်တဲ့ခါမှာfrustration အရင်ဖြစ်ပြီးတော့စိတ်တွေညစ်ဒေါသတွေဖြစ်tension တွေဖြစ်အလုပ်မှာ job satisfaction မဖြစ်လုပ်ငန်းခွင်မှာမပျော်ဘူးဆိုရင်နိဗ္ဗာန်ချမ်းသာတရားတော်မြတ်ကိုအဝေး sorry I'm အဲ့ဒါကြောင့်မလို့နိဗ္ဗာန်မဆူတောင်းမဲ့အခုဒီမှာခိုးနဲ့အလုပ်လုပ်နေတဲ့လူတွေနဲ့နော်ကို limitation နဲ့အများကြီးရှိတယ်ဒီကြားထဲမှာတယောက်ကိုတယောက်နားလည်အောင်အဲ့ဒီ social skill ရထားတယ်ဆိုရင်နိဗ္ဗာန်ကသူ့အလိုလိုတနေ့တလန်ပကံ The Netherlands, neighbor, but Jimmy, the cancer, a little journey. And that's how go arrange ma paya twabote. Go need any hako, both high a soul ma yawla below. Anyhow, a don't you nine so ye. Look angry ma, go your shimmer. I don't hope and a low load, say ye below. And now you may neighbor by sound needed so ye. Better retirement to if you are not happy at work, if you don't have job satisfaction, and if you think of having a nice and wonderful time after retirement, I think you're wasting your time. So the Buddha is saying, if you don't mind me reciting in Pali, Ajeva Kijang Katapa, Ko Janya Maranang Suvi. How do we know we will live until retirement? And how do we know how many years we will live to enjoy our life after retirement? Can we not find, a way to enjoy the present moment? That's what the Buddha said in one of the discourses called Patiraka Sutta. So today I'm here to persuade you, to impress on you that happiness is possible in your office, at work, when you travel, and anywhere at all. Anywhere at all. And what you need to do is, to know which type of emotion is connected with which area of your brain. Fear, irritation, agitation, and all the negative responses, fight and flight, and perhaps also freeze, all those responses, they are associated with the amygdala region of the brain. So it doesn't matter if you're agitated with yourself, or if you're agitated with your colleagues, or with your boss, or with your family, with your children. It means the same thing in terms of the brain, in terms of neurology. The area, the amygdala, is active. If you keep activating it, that means you are exercising that part of the brain. It gets stronger. When that area, when this area is stronger, is active, this area is silent, inactive. Over time, the neural connection in this, which is about happiness, which is about being able to communicate, being able to empathize with others, which is about being at the present moment. This part of the brain will not work. So, in order for you to become a UN staff, you have worked your way up, just like in other professions. But it's just me, when you look at your certificate from your university, from all your training, usually it doesn't bring joy and fulfilling anymore. It's just a memory. Two things, memory and feeling. By looking at that piece of paper, you only have memory, you don't have feeling. Why? Because you're not exercising this part of the brain. Very simple. So in the Buddhist tradition, the keyword in Pali called sikha, in Sanskrit called siksha, in Burmese pronunciation tekha. Tila, Dekha, Tamati, Dekha. Dekha simply means training. Training. Ethics is a training. It's a training. Pinya, Dekha, training of wisdom, to train our emotion, to train our attitude. It's all training. So, Dr. Hattie Colbert mentioned two things, attention and attitude. We need to train our attention. Meditation is the art of attention. The art of attention. Some people want to get something, want to gain something, and they go into meditation. They're making something simple very complicated. Meditation is the process of understanding ourselves and our fellow human being. It's not about gaining something. And some people going into meditation with competitive mind. You want to compare with the person sitting next to you. The person sitting next to you, they don't move, they look very quiet, very simple. My mind is wandering, why me? You start personalizing the experience and you start fighting with yourself by comparing yourself with the other. So that competitive mind, although it's encouraged all over the world, okay, I have come to believe that, okay, it has more side effect than the good it brings us. We use competitive method because we want to motivate each other. But I think there is a better way of motivating ourselves. That we can use compassion. Just to focus on problem. Last year in November, I happened to be in New York and some of the staff, they have meditation society there, so they invited me. I gave a 2 hours meditation session. So the first thing I told them was, okay, forget about this magnificent building. When you're at the United Nations, every nation is represented here, and every nation will bring their problem to talk about it here, individually, in groups. So when you work there, you got to be prepared to listen to all their pains. All their pains. One of the former British Prime Minister, Benjamin Disraeli, said, this quotation, prepare for the worst and hope for the best. How do we prepare for the worst? By focusing on problem, orientating ourselves towards problem. And then use our imagination to see how those problems affect people. By feeling pain, the pain of those people, empathizing those people with those people. And with that compassion, we can motivate ourselves. We don't really need to compete with each other. I'm very glad that Singapore, we can say a leading, if not the leading, nation in the ASEAN has dropped this competitive approach in their schools and workplace. They no longer put the names of the student on the notice, who comes first, who comes second, and prize and who was noble. If you're interested, you can look at how Denmark has started this 26 years ago. There will be no prizes and awards in their school, but instead they use empathy. There's a class in TED, which is class in time in their technical term, to create social skill based on empathy. So here, so long we are grounded in sympathy, so in empathy and compassion. Limitation, okay, will not actually limit us to perform. The limitation, they will be there, but it wouldn't maybe we don't get our way all the time, but that wouldn't stop us from aiming higher, from working harder. The question Dr. Kober asked earlier was how to suffer less. It's not about no suffering. It's not about overcoming suffering. It's about how to suffer less. Accepting there is suffering, accepting there are limitations, and then doing our best in that. So this attitude is very important. This attitude of accepting the limitation, working with that. Only then we will have the motivation to always strive our best and enjoy working with the situation. I think mindfulness and compassion, mindfulness-based compassion, if necessary, will help us to expand our capacity to help the people with all limitation. Before I show you the next clip, I'd like to offer you this practical skill, which is mindfulness. And it's very easy just to focus on breathing. Breathing is physiological. Attention is psychological. So this is to unite two functions, the function of physiological body and the function of psychological self, to unite them. We are not aiming to achieve anything, but rather to supply oxygen to this physical body, which requires oxygen to survive. So just to focus on breathing in and out. As you do so, your brain will be shifting from the amygdala, the worrisome mind, to the hippocampus, to the calming center. So to do that, I offer you something very simple. Breathe in, count 1, 2, 3. Breathe out, 3, 2, 1. Okay. I'm a Buddhist monk, but this breathing has nothing to do with me as a Buddhist monk or as Buddhism per se. Breathing is universal to any living being, to any sentient being. So we just focus on that. Okay? We are not bringing any religious ideology, religious belief into play. Then what do you do? What will happen? When you focus on breathing, what will happen is that you are going to discover your thought that you don't usually see. When you discover your thought, a lot of thoughts wandering around, don't panic, this is very normal. When I say normal, I'm trying to change your attitude from reacting to acceptance, to accept that these happen to everyone. So what you should do then, just observe your thought. This is auto mind, this is automatic mind, this is automatic thought, this is automatic thought. The video clip says this is autopilot mind, mindless thought. So just say, this is auto mind, this is auto mind. 3 or 4 times you accept it. You leave it there, you return to breathing. Breathing is the center of your focus. Breathing is your home. Wherever you go, you will return home. You will return home. So you register breathing, you register your thought. Forget about the content at this moment within the 5 minutes that we're going to practice. Just observe the behavior of the mind, which is auto-thinking, then return to breathing.တရားထိုင်မယ်တရားထိုင်တဲ့အခါမှာဘုံတို့ဝင်နေထွက်လေကြည့်မယ်ဝင်နေထွက်လေထဲမှာဘာမှလိုက်ရှာစရာမလိုဝင်လေရှူတဲ့အခါမှာဝင်လေတိတယ်ဆိုရင်ဝင်လေဒါဝင်လေပဲနောက်ထွက်လေရှူထုတ်တဲ့အခါမှာဒါထွက်လေအဲ့လိုတိရင်ကိုပဲအုတ်နောက်ကပူပန်အုတ်နောက်နေပြီးတော့ငြိမ်းချမ်းတဲ့အုတ်နောက်စီကိုရောက်သွားတယ်ဒါ neurologist တွေပြောတယ်ပို့ပြီးတော့လွယ်ကူအောင်ဆိုရင်ဝင်လေရှူတဲ့အခါမှာ1 2 3အဲ့ဒီလိုရည်တွက်လိုက်ပါထွက်လေရှူထုတ်တဲ့အခါ3 2 1အဲ့ဒီလိုရှူထုတ်ပါဝင်လေ1 2 3ထွက်လေ3 2 1 slow and gentle breathing slow and gentle breathing အဲ့ဒီလိုဝင်နေထွက်လို့ကြည့်တဲ့အခါကျမှခါတိုင်းကိုမတွေ့တဲ့ကိုယ့်ရဲ့အတွေးတွေကိုတွေးလိမ့်မယ်အဲ့လိုတွေးတဲ့အခါမှာထိတ်လန့်တကြားမဖြစ်နဲ့ panic မဖြစ်နဲ့ဒါပုံမှန်ပဲပုံမှန်အတွေးဖြစ်ပေါ်လာရင်အဲ့အတွေးကိုလက်ခံလိုက်ပါရိတ်တာမှဆိုရင်မှတ်လိုက်ပါပြောတော့တွေးတယ်ဆိုရင်တွေးတယ်မှတ်လိုက်အခုဘုံကစကလုံးလေးနည်းနည်းပြင်တယ်အဲ့ဒီတွေးတယ်ဆိုရင်ဒါ auto mind ပါလား auto စိတ်ပါလား auto စိတ်ဖြစ်နေတယ် auto စိတ်ဖြစ်နေမတွေးခြင်းပဲနဲ့သူလျှောက်တွေးနေတာသူနဲ့သွားရမဖြစ်နဲ့သူနဲ့သွားဒေါသမဖြစ်နဲ့သူကိုသွားပြီးတော့နေမထုတ်နဲ့သူတဘာဝရတွေးနိုင်တယ်ဆိုတော့လူသားတွေရဲ့စွမ်းရည်ပဲတွေးလွန်းလို့အခုတွေးလွန်းတဲ့စိတ်ကိုနားလည်အောင်ပဲကြိုးစားနေတယ်တွေးနေတဲ့စိတ်နဲ့သွားပြီးတော့ရမဖြစ်နဲ့လက်ခံလိုက်တွေးနေတယ်တွေးနေတယ်တွေးနေအလိုလျောက်တွေးနေပြီးရင်ထွဲလေဝင်လေစီပြန်လာပါထွဲလေဝင်လေကမူလအာယုံ primary object တွေးတာက secondary object ဒီကြားထဲမှာ emotion ပါလာမယ်ဆိုရင်အဲ့ emotion ကိုလက်ခံလိုက်ပါသူကိုနာမည်ပေးလိုက် naming labeling technique ဆိုတာ emotion ကဘာ emotion တုံးဆိုပြင်းနေဆိုရင်ပြင်းနေတဲ့ပြင်းတဲ့စိတ်ဒါပြင်းတဲ့စိတ်လို့ခေါ်တယ်ဒါပြင်းတဲ့စိတ်လို့ခေါ်တယ်ကြောက်တယ်ဆိုရင်ဒါကြောက်တဲ့စိတ်လို့ခေါ်တယ်အဲ့ဒါလေးကိုခံစားကြည့်လိုက်နော်စက္ကန့်30လောက်ခံစားကြည့်လိုက်ဟုတ်ပြီးရင်သူ့ကိုလက်ခံပြီးတော့သူ့ကိုနာမည်ပေးပြီးတော့ဝင်လေထွက်လေစီပြန်လာပါ Okay we meditate for 5 minutes just 5 minutes Just relax your body, relax your arms, relax your shoulders. If you're tired, you will feel some tension around your cheeks, left and right, around your forehead, the muscles around your head. There will be tension. It's okay, don't fight with those tensions. Just accept them. Look at them with compassion. because they are tired, because they work non-stop. So this is the basic mindfulness training. Just focus on breathing, and whatever happens, maybe sensation in the body, maybe your thought, your emotion, just accept them, let them go, return to breathing. Accept them, let them go, return to breathing. The second video clip is about compassion. Compassion, I want this is a TED talk from a clinical psychologist and author from America, Tim Jews. He works with family and children. He argued that compassion works not only for individuals, not just for family. It can work as a social system, as a political system. So he argued that we should reimagine compassion as power, not weakness. Sometimes people think if you have compassion, if you're compassionate, people take advantage of you. People have fear. Who have fear? They like to interpret compassion in that way, as something as compassion as weakness. But rather than looking at things like that, like this book, Siddhartha's Brain, by scientist, the former editor of New Science, the magazine New Science. And another book, Buddha's Brain, by somebody from University of Berkeley, University of California, Berkeley. They argue that if you have compassion, including this book, a professor from Texas University, who combines Buddhist practices with clinical psychology, and she's one of the experts in compassion these days, self-compassion. So compassion actually creates a buffer zone between the stress center, which is this one, the stress center, and the decision-making center, which is this one. So compassion creates a buffer zone in between. So if you have worry, that worry will not impinge on your decision-making process. This is what it means. So we're going to look at this.
Okay, true story. 8 friends gathered around a backyard dinner party in Washington, D.C. They're celebrating a restaurant one of them had just opened. It was about 10 p.m. There's a fellow there named Michael. He had his wife and daughter, and he was talking to his wife when he noticed a hand and the barrel of a gun come between them. A man of medium build in a clean sweatsuit stepped up and pointed the gun at his daughter, and then pointed the gun at his wife, and looked Michael in the face and said, "Give me the money or I'm going to start effing shooting." And it was an odd coincidence that no one at the party had any money. So they started casting around, trying to figure out what they were going to do to dissuade this man, and the first thing that they came on was guilt. What would your mother think of you? Didn't work. I haven't got any effing mother. So now it's tense. And Michael's looking around and he's saying, someone's going to get hurt, maybe everybody. At which point, a woman named Christina stepped up and tried a different tack. "Hey, we're all celebrating," she said. "Why don't you sit down and share a glass of wine?" Michael said it was like a switch flipped. You could feel it. The man took the glass of wine. "Damn, that's a good glass of wine." Michael offered him the bottle. He put his gun in his pocket, reached for some cheese. He said, "Hey, could I have a hug?" Christina hugged him. Mike's wife hugged him. How about a group hug? They all huddled around him, gave him a hug, and when they let him go, he said, "I'm sorry," and walked out with his glass of wine. So what happened there? Michael says he knows what happens. It was a miracle. And you can see why he would think that, but I want to propose something different happened. I want to propose that was compassion done powerfully. And by compassion, I don't mean the casual phrases that we throw off. I don't mean, I feel terrible for you, I can't imagine how you feel, or I know just how you feel. I don't mean that. I mean finding and meeting fundamental needs. And by fundamental human needs, I don't mean a glass of wine, a chunk of cheese, and a stack of cash. I mean those universal things that we feel we've got to have to survive as tribal animals. So I mean, sure, safety and security, but also affection, connection, being seen and heard, belonging. So we don't know what the gunman needed that night. We may never know. Whatever it was, Christina may have stumbled on it by accident or by instinct, but he wanted it more than money. And it was strong enough to deflect a bullet and maybe save a life and maybe more. So the question to us becomes, wouldn't it be great if we could marshal that and create those results in critical situations and it wasn't a miracle? Wouldn't it be great if we were adept at handling human interactions so that we could keep conflict from escalating, or so that we could sidestep it altogether? And in my experience, we can. And what that takes is reimagining compassion, not as kind of simple warmth or kindness, but instead a set of concrete practices that you can use when you don't want to get into a test of wills, that you can use when you're afraid that force will fail or escalate or backfire. Pretty simple set of practices. So listen for a call for help, share empathy, and share options. How would that look? Well, here's an example that comes from work that I've done in healthcare. Comes up pretty often. How do you cope with a patient or a family member who's really upset? This comes from work that I did in a youth mental health clinic in a really, really difficult part of town. So there's a woman in the lobby, and she's a patient's mother, and she's screaming and yelling and stomping. She's yelling at her kids. You better get the hell over here. You better sit your butt down. You better listen to your mother. And she's yelling at the receptionist. You better get me in to see my damn doctor. They send out a security guard. He says, ma'am, you can't talk that way. She ignores him. The lobby's electric. So put yourself in that situation. What are you going to do? If you're like most people, you're going to try to get her to calm down. And that's what David tried. He was the therapist who had to go out and deal with her. He said, ma'am, I need you to calm down. You're right. You're right. Didn't work. Failed utterly. So what we want to get clear on is why it failed. And the reason that it failed is that he was dealing at the level of actions, not at the level of deep-seated needs that we've been talking about. So imagine a bullseye that has needs at its center and actions at the periphery. Here's the problem. This woman comes in, and you can tell she's got some really deep-seated needs, yes? So she tries to come up with an action plan that will meet those needs. And when she comes up with one, she gets attached to it. Becomes if only I can carry out these actions, I'll get these needs met. And so those actions stand in place of those needs. So when David walks up and says, you can't do those actions, he becomes an enemy that's coming between her and what she needs. And two things happen. He becomes an enemy, someone standing between her and her needs, and she escalates. So she won't listen to him, and she escalates. So what's the alternative? The alternative is to go through that process that we talked about. Listen for a call for help. And that means thinking about that dynamic that we talked about before and bypassing actions and going to needs. So looking at that woman and saying, she is not an opponent that I need to stop. She is a person with needs that she needs badly, and she's afraid she's going to fail. And that flips a switch in me, and I begin to get more open. then I can exchange empathy with her. So essentially that means going to this person that I used to see as an opponent and saying, what do you need? And you can use emotions as a guide. So if I'm getting my needs met, I'm some kind of happy. If I'm not getting my needs met, I'm some kind of suffering. I'm in pain or I'm angry. So David steps up to this woman and says, you seem really upset. That's the emotion. Do you need attention? That's the need. She didn't thank him. Right? Because that's the point. She's been trying to get across for 30 minutes. But if he can keep that up, if he can keep up acknowledging her needs and acknowledging her feelings, she'll experience that as empathy. A switch will begin to flip in her, and she'll begin to open up. And what David found out when that happened was that there was a lot of fear behind this woman's anger. Her eldest son had just been thrown out of his third daycare for aggression, essentially for bullying. And she didn't see how she was going to get him care and put food on the table, so she was near tears. Now that David understands that, he's faced with a whole different problem than he thought he was. So now he can begin to share options with her. What looked at first like it was a demand for her to get in to see her doctor now shows up as something that can be solved a whole variety of ways. We can call your daycare center and explain to them what's going on. We can get a referral to another agency. We can call your neighbors and see if we can enlist them. And there are other options. So there are a whole variety of options, and that's important because what we're driving with this form of compassion is collaboration. It's not domination. It's not intimidation. It's not submission. And it's not compromise. This isn't y'all quieter. This is a new set of options that didn't seem to be on the table before we could talk to each other. And that model that I've just laid out to you works really well one-on-one, and it works across domains. So it works all throughout healthcare, but we've also discovered that it works with parents who want cooperation from their kids, or mothers who want a better experience of life with her mother, or an executive who's got a corporate initiative and is trying to get cooperation from another executive who doesn't owe it to him. So it transfers across domains. But you might ask yourself, okay, good. It works with friends and family, it works with colleagues, it works with customers. That's nice. What about people who hate you? What about your enemies? And it's great that it works one-on-one, but we have systemic issues. What about systems? Does it work on a system-wide basis? And Connie Rice might have been asking herself those kinds of questions a few years ago. Connie Rice is a civil rights attorney and activist in LA. And her lawsuits have brought in better than $10 billion in damages as she's tried to protect and fight for communities like the Watts neighborhood in LA. You may be familiar with the Watts neighborhood. It's got a tough history. That's a place that people described as a cross between a tenement and a dilapidated army barracks. In 1965, you might remember the riots ended up in 34 deaths and $40 million in property damage. And when you're talking about property damage as a result of riots in your neighborhood, you're talking about rocks and bullets and broken glass and fire. Riots again following Rodney King's arrest in 1991, this time 55 deaths and $1 billion in damages. That's a tough neighborhood. In the 80s and 90s, there were so many homicides in this neighborhood that parents took to having their kids sleep in the bathtub. And the police responded with paramilitary campaigns. You may remember Cops and Riot Gear. Campaigns that went by names such as Crash or Operation Hammer. And it was as a result of those campaigns and the Rodney King incident, Connie Rice went to war. In her words, went to war with the LA Police Department and began to launch lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit and was successful until she stopped. And you might wonder why she stopped after 20 years. And the reason was, she looked at that neighborhood and said, this will never be enough. These lawsuits will never end. You cannot legislate behavior change. This community I'm trying to protect is segregating and, in her words, turning into a killing zone. So what do? She said, this problem will be solved with empathy and compassion. Over the course of 18 months, she interviewed 900 police officers. Think of what an act of courage that is. To go into the heart of a group that you've been fighting for 20 years and ask, what do you need? And what she heard was fear beneath the brutality. Time and time again, Ms. Rice, I'm terrified of black men. Ms. Rice, you know, those black men, they come out of prison, they have that great hold strength. I'm afraid they're going to kill me. Can you teach me how not to be afraid of black men? How tough is that to hear from a group of people who've pulled over your neighbors, pulled them out of their cars, thrown them on the ground, and searched them with no provocation? And her response to that was not labeling them, but saying, to me and my community, that sounds like racism. To you, it doesn't. It's a true expression of fear. And any solution that we're going to come up with that's going to work has got to work for my community, and it's got to work for you as well. So we need to work together. There's a model of courage. So they came up with a new model of policing. They brought together the community, civil rights advocates, the police force, and they came up with a four-pronged model of policing. Police hanging out in the neighborhoods, tutoring kids, setting up sports teams, and even setting up health screenings. And you got to ask yourself, come on, this is a gang-torn neighborhood. This is a neighborhood with a paramilitary presence in it. And you're gonna form study groups and health screenings. How did that work? In Nickerson Gardens, where it was piloted, 66% drop in property crime, 90% drop in physical crime. That means people getting hurt. The Watts neighborhood is still torn by struggle between police and the residents, but overall, 70% drop in homicides. Been very effective. It's held up as a model around the country. And that model that we talked about, that model of interacting, of showing compassion and empathy, works system-wide in other areas as well. It works when, for example, you're trying to reduce recidivism among prison inmates, and it's been shown to be effective at fighting bullying in school districts where zero-tolerance policies fail. So it generalizes. What's the takeaway? Compassion is power. Compassion is not what you fall back on when force fails. Compassion, if done deliberately, can turn enemies into allies. And when that happens, you're solving different problems that you started with. And you're facing solutions that weren't on the table and weren't in your imagination when you started. Compassion is power. So what does that mean to you? I don't know what part of the world you're trying to change, or what change you may feel being thrust upon you right now. But wouldn't it be great to be powerful? Wouldn't it be great if you could create results like that at critical times and it wasn't a miracle? And you can. You can win and other people don't have to lose. You can create change and you don't have to force people. And the process can be healing. So how do you start? Next time you're toe-to-toe with somebody, whether that's face-to-face or whether that's over Twitter or over Facebook or whatever social media you have, next time you're face-to-face with someone who opposes you, who threatens you, who annoys you, who angers you, who you see as an enemy, consider that the 4 most powerful words that you can use may not be "this will not stand." It might be, "what do you need?" Thank you.
သူပြောတဲ့ဟာကကရုဏာ compassion ကအားနည်းချက်မဟုတ်ဘူးသူ့ကိုအစီအစဉ်ရှိရှိရည်ရွယ်ချက်ရှိရှိနဲ့အသုံးပြုရင်သူဟာတကယ်အာနာပါတကယ်အာနာသူပြောသွားတဲ့ဥပမာ3ခုရှိပါတယ် evidence ပေါ့နော်တတိ3ခုရှိတခုကတော့စားတောက်ဆိုင်ဖွင့်ပွဲကို celebrate လုပ်နေတာအဲ့မှာလူတယောက်ကတဏှာနဲ့ဝင်လာရှိတဲ့ပိုက်ဆံပေးတဏှာနဲ့တိတ်ဖြစ်ချင်တော့သူတို့မှာပိုက်ဆံမပါဘူး cash မပါတဲ့ခါကျတော့သူ့ကိုအဲ့ဒီလိုမလုပ်အောင်အကြမ်းမဖက်အောင်စီယုံပြောတာအဲ့လိုမလုပ်နဲ့လေအမေခမအမေမျက်နှာမြုံလေးအမေကိုစဉ်းစားအောင်မြစ်တဲ့မေ့စဉ်းစားဆိုသူ့ကိုနောင်တရအောင်အဲ့ဒီနီးနဲ့ဆွဲဆောင်တာအလုံးမဖြစ်ဘူးအဲ့တော့ဘာလို့တော့သူကဟောတယောက်ကခရစ်စတီနာဆိုတဲ့အမျိုးသမီးတယောက်ကဒီမှာကျတို့ကအောင်ပွဲလုပ်နေတာစားတော့ဆန်ပွင့်ပွဲအတူဝင်ပြီးတော့တောက်ပါလာပေါ့နော်ရဲတောက်ပါလာအဲ့တော့သူ့ကိုဒေါသနဲ့ဂိုင်မဲ့စားသူ့ကိုအကြမ်းကြီးနဲ့ဂိုင်မဲ့စားတယ်သူ့ရဲ့သူကရုဏာနဲ့အဲ့ဒါနဲ့သူတဏှာကိုအိတ်ထဲထည့်ပြီးတော့အရက်တောက်တယ်အရက်တောက်နေမကောက်အရက်နဲ့ cheese နဲ့တောက်စားတယ်တောက်တယ်ဆိုတော့ cheese နဲ့သူ့ကိုအဲ့ဒီလိုကရုဏာနဲ့ဆက်ဆံအောင်မြင်တဲ့ခါကျတော့အနောက်တိုင်းသားတဲ့ထုံးစံတိုင်းတယောက်ကိုတယောက်မေတ္တာရှိတယ်ဆိုရင်ဖတ်တယ်သူ့ကိုဖက်ပါပြီးတော့တယောက်ပြီးတယောက်သူ့ကိုဖက်တယ်နောက်ပြီးအကုန်လုံး group hug လုပ်တယ်ဝိုင်းဖက်ကြတယ်ဖက်ပြီးတော့သူကထွက်သွားဝိုင်းတစ်ခွက်နဲ့သူထွက်သွား sorry ဆိုပြီးပြောတာအဲ့တော့အဲ့ရလူတွေပြောတာတော့ဒါက miracle ကြောင့်ဘုရားသခင်ကကဲလို့ပါညာလို့ပြောဒါပေမဲ့ဒီပညာရှင်ကတော့သူအဲ့လိုမဟုတ်ဒါကရုဏာရဲ့စွမ်းအားကြောင့်လို့ပြောပါမေတ္တာစွမ်းအားကြောင့်ဒုတိယတစ်ခုကတော့သူအလုပ်လုပ်တဲ့နေရာမှာမိခင်တယောက်ကသူ့ကလေးနဲ့ဝင်လာပြီးတော့သူ့ကလေးကိုလည်းဆဲလိုက်ဆိုလိုက်နောက်ပြီးတော့ reception ကိုလည်းဆဲလိုက်ဆိုလိုက်ဆရာဝန်ချင်းပြီးတွေ့ပါအလုပ်လုပ်တဲ့အခါမှာသူဒီလိုမပြောရဘူးကျွန်တော် staff တွေကိုabuse မလုပ်နဲ့မချင်းချောင်းနဲ့အဲ့လိုပြောတော့သူကလက်မခံ security ရောက်လာတော့သူလက်မခံ psychologist တယောက်ရောက်လာပြီးတော့ D.Phil ဆိုတဲ့ psychologist တယောက်ဖတ်ပြောအောင်ဆိုတော့အများတို့ upset ဖြစ်နေတယ်ထင်တယ် attention လို့လား upset ဖြစ်လေဆိုတာဒါက emotion ကိုပြောတာ attention လို့လားဆိုတော့သူရဲ့ need သူ့ရဲ့လိုအပ်ချက်ကိုပြောတာ emotion as God ဆိုတာ emotion ကိုအသုံးပြုပြီးတော့လမ်းပြနေ emotion ကိုလမ်းပြနေအသုံးပြုအဲ့လိုပြောရခါကျတော့စကားပြောလို့ရတယ်ကျေးဇူးတော်မတင်သေးဘူးအဲ့ဒါနဲ့တော့ဘာပြောပြတော့ဆို hold attention လို့တယ်ဒီမှာသူကလေးဒီခေတ်ဆန်ကနေပြီးတော့နင်ထုတ်ခံရတယ်3ရက်ပဲရှိသေးတယ်နင်ထုတ်3ရက်အဲ့ရောက်တာ3ရက်ပဲရှိတယ်နင်ထုတ်ခံဘာပြောလို့ဆိုတော့သူများနိုင်ချစ် အလုပ်လဲသွားမယ်ဒီကလေးလဲကြည့်ရမယ်ဆိုမဖြစ်နိုင်အဲ့ဒီတော့ကအဲ့စိတ်ဖြစ်စီမှုနဲ့သူကအဲ့လိုလုပ်တယ်အဲ့တော့ဆိုတော့ဒီနေရာမှာဆိုလို့ထားခံ behavior ဆိုတော့သူရဲ့ behavior က select ဆိုလိုက်လို့လုပ်တယ်အဲ့ behavior ရဲ့နောက်မှာရှိတဲ့လိုအပ်ချက်စိတ်ပိုင်းဆိုင်လိုအပ်ချက်အဲ့နှစ်ခုခွဲခြားသိဖို့လူတယောက်ကိုလာပြီးတော့ကျန်တဲ့ပြောရဆိုတော့အဲ့ဒီလူကျန်တဲ့လာပြီးတော့ပြောတဲ့ဟာသူ့ရဲ့စိတ်ထဲမှာကိုယ့်ကိုကြောက်လို့လားကိုယ့်ကိုကြောက်လို့သူကအရင်ဆုံးလာပြီးတော့အဲ့လိုကျန်တဲ့လာပြောလိုက်တာလားသူ့ကိုကြောက်အောင်သူအရင်ဆုံးအဲ့လိုပြောတာလားဒါမှမဟုတ်သူကတခြားပြဿနာရှိလို့လားအဲ့ဒီလိုသူ့ရဲ့ဒုက္ခကိုနည်းနည်းလေးတွေးလိုက်တာ ਨੇ တွေးလိုက်တာ ਨੇ သူ့ရဲ့ action ကိုကြော်ပြီးတော့သူ့ရဲ့လိုအပ်ချက်ကိုတွေးလိုက်တယ်နှစ်ဆင့်ရှိတဲ့တစ်ဆင့်ကသူ့ရဲ့အပြုမှုအခုသူ့ပြုမှုကိုပဲသူ့အပြုမှုအဲ့ဒီ level ကိုပဲသွားပြီးတော့ခံတွေ့ရင်တဲ့ထိတ်တွေ့အဲ့ဒီဟာကိုကြော်ပြီးတော့ဘာလိုအပ်တော့ဒါအမေကကလေးကိုကြည့်ရအောင်လားမျိုးကလေးကနှွဲ့ဆိုးတဲ့ဒါမှမဟုတ်ပြောခဲနေဆိုရင်ဒီကလေးဘာဖြစ်လဲမသိဘူးဆိုကလေးရဲ့လိုအပ်ချက်အမေကသွားကြည့်ဘယ်နေရာမှာဘာလို့ပြဿနာရှိခဲ့လဲမသိဘူးအမေကအဲ့ဒီလိုသူ့ရဲ့ behavior ကိုကြော်ပြီးတော့ကြည့်ဒါတွေအလုပ်ဖြစ်တယ်အဲ့ဒါနဲ့ပြဿနာတွေဘာပြဿနာရှိဆိုတော့ချက်ချင်းသိပြီးတော့ option တွေအများကြီးရှိတယ်ရွေးစရာနည်းလမ်းတွေအများကြီးကဲဟုတ်ပြီဒီနည်းကကရုဏာအခြေခံတဲ့နည်းက compassion အခြေခံတဲ့နည်းက compassion အခြေခံပြီးတော့ဒီလိုဟို set တွေဒီ interact လုပ်တာဒီနည်းက one to one နဲ့လုပ်တယ်family နဲ့လည်းလုပ်တယ်ဒါမဲ့ system ကကိုကမကောင်းမှုဆိုရင်အလုပ်ဖြစ်ပါမလားကရုဏာကအလုပ်ဖြစ်ပါမယ်အဲ့ဒီဟာကိုနောက်ဆုံး evidence မှာသူပြောသွားတာ Los Angeles မှာလူမဲတွေနေတဲ့မြို့နေနဲ့ဗလိတ်တွေနဲ့နှစ်ပေါင်း20ကျော်ပြိပခါဖြစ်တယ်ဗလိတ်တွေကလည်းပဲလူမဲတွေကိုအကြောင်းမရှိဘဲနဲ့ဖမ်းတယ်စစ်ဆေးတယ်ရိုက်တယ်အဲ့ဒါမျိုးတွေလုပ်တယ်အဲ့ဒီလိုလုပ်တာကို Connie Rice ဆိုတဲ့ရှေ့နေကဗလိတ်တွေကိုပြန်ပြီးတော့တရားစွဲတာနှစ်ပေါင်း20 billion 10 billion ကျော်ရတယ်ရုပ်ကြီးရတစ်နှစ်ကိုသိန်းပေါင်း900ကျော်နှစ်ပေါင်း20ရောက်တဲ့ခါကျတော့ဒီရှေ့နေကြီးကရလိုက်တယ်တရားမစွဲတော့ဘာဖြစ်လို့မစွဲတော့ဆိုတော့အဲ့ဒီလူမဲတွေနေတဲ့မြို့နယ်ကိုကြည့်ပြီးတော့တလောက်ထိနှစ်20လောက်လာတာအလုပ်ဖြစ်လာဆိုမဖြစ်ဘူးအခြေအနေ improve ဖြစ်လာမဖြစ်ဘူးလူမဲတွေကသူတို့ကိုသူတို့ segregate လုပ်တယ်ခွဲခြားပြီးတော့နေတယ်ပလိတ်ကိုမုန်းလို့ပလိတ်ခါလည်းပဲသူတို့ကိုမကြိုက်လို့အဲ့ဒီလိုဖြစ်တဲ့ခါကျတော့ဘယ်လိုလုပ်မှာတော့အလုံးမဖြစ်ဘူးတရားစွဲတာတရားစွဲုံနဲ့ပိုက်ဆံရလာရုံနဲ့ဒီမှုခင်းတွေကကြာစင်းမသွားဘူးလူတွေသိနေတယ်အကြမ်းဖက်နေဖက်နေတယ်ဘာဖြစ်ဘယ်လိုလုပ်မှာတော့သူပြောတာက you cannot legislate people's behavior လူတွေရဲ့အပြုအမူကိုဥပဒေနဲ့ဂိုင်းတွယ်လို့မရဘူးဥပဒေနဲ့ပြောင်းလဲအောင်လုပ်လို့မရဘူး psychology ကိုဂိုင်းရတာစိတ်ပိုင်းဆိုင်ရာဂိုင်းရအဲ့ဒါကြောင့်ကရုဏာအခြေခံတဲ့ action ဆိုတာကဘာလို့သူကဗလိတ်အရာရှိ900ကိုသွားပြီး interview လုပ်တာ18လကြာတယ်ဒီနေ့ခွဲကြာတယ်သူကြားတာကတော့ဘာလို့ဆိုတော့အဲ့ဗလိတ်ကြီးတွေကလူမဲတွေကိုကြောက်တယ်ကြောက်လို့မလို့အဲ့ဒီလူမဲတွေကိုကြမ်းကြမ်းတမ်းတမ်းဆန်ဆန်ကြမ်းတမ်းတာက behavior ကြောက်တာက psychological need လူတိုင်းကလုံလုံချုံနေတယ်အဲ့ဒီခုတော့ခွဲခြားပြီးတော့မြင်လိုက်တယ်မြင်တဲ့အခါကျတော့ခင်ဗျားတို့ရဲ့ behavior အဲ့ behavior နောက်မှာရှိတယ်ဒီ fear ဒီကြောက်စိတ်ကကျုပ်တို့ရဲ့ community ကိုထိခိုက်တယ်ခင်ဗျားတို့လည်းထိခိုက်တယ်ဒါကြောင့်မို့လို့ကရုဏာခြေခံပြီးတော့နှစ်ဖက်စလုံးအလုပ်ဖြစ်မဲ့ program မျိုးလက်တွဲပြီးတော့ကောင်းတယ်ပေါ်ရမယ်ကရုဏာခြေခံအဲ့ဒါကြောင့် the way you can win without the other people losing it ကိုကနိုင်ပြီးတော့တခြားလူတွေရှုံးဖို့မလိုပဲနဲ့ကိုကနိုင်နေနေဒီနေ့ဒီဟောက်ပဲအခုခေတ်မှာ win-win situation ဆိုပြီးပြောတာဒါကရုဏာအခြေခံအဲ့တော့သူတို့လုပ်တဲ့ဟာကအဲ့ဒီ neighborhood ထဲမှာအဲ့ဒီမြို့နယ်ထဲမှာလူတွေအကျိုးကလေးတွေအတွက်ရောနော်ကျမ်းမာရေးအတွက်ပညာရေးအတွက်ပလိတ်နဲ့တွဲပြီးတော့လုပ်ပေးတယ်လုပ်ပေးတဲ့ခါကျတော့သူပြောတဲ့အတိုင်းပဲလူသားမှုဆိုရင်66%ကျသွားတယ် physical violence ဒီလိုခန္ဓာကိုယ်အကြမ်းဖက်တာဆိုရင်90%ကျသွားတယ် property crime ဆို90ကျော်90%ကျသွားတယ်ပြဿနာရှိနေသေးတယ်ဒါပေမဲ့လက်နဲ့အားကိုပြီးတော့ zero tolerance ဆိုတဲ့နီးနဲ့အဲ့ဒီချင်းကပ်မှုမျိုးနဲ့အလုံးမဖြစ်ခဲ့တဲ့ဟာကရုဏာနဲ့ကြတော့ငွေရေးကြီးနည်းနည်းနဲ့အသက်ဆုံးရှုံးမှုလည်းနည်းနည်းနဲ့အလုံးဖြစ်တယ်ဒါကြောင့်ကရုဏာကို power အနေနဲ့အင်အားတစ်ခုအနေနဲ့ယုံကြည်ပါလို့သူပြောတယ်ဒီစာအုပ်ထဲမှာပါတဲ့ဟာကိုဖတ်ပြန် The Oxford Handbook of Oxford Handbook of Compassion Science published in 2017 I'm going to read a long paragraph to you. Over the last 3 decades, the ever-growing interest in brain science has intersected with a similar growing interest in the motivation that allows species to survive. What has become evident and what Kant and Darwin and Kropotkin allude to is that compassion, characterized by nurturing and caring behavior, is critical to the long-term survival of many species. It's not fight and flight that is crucial to our survival. It's compassion. And most importantly, perhaps, to human species. Why empathy researcher like Daniel Busson, chapter 3 in this book, and Mark Davis, chapter 23, spearheaded research in this general area, a more pointed interest in compassion per se seemingly began as a result of a conversation in 1992 between neuroscientist Richard Davidson and the Dalai Lama, in which His Holiness expressed his belief that meditation allows one to increase one's capacity for compassion. The first studies began simply as an attempt to understand how meditation affects the brain. Over time, it was evident that such practices had the potential to promote what is at the center of Buddhist philosophy and that of most of the world religions, the cultivation of compassion. So this is about compassion that I try to impress on you, that you should give your time 4 minutes, 5 minutes every day to activate the compassion center in your brain, the hippocampus area. By doing so, this will give you stress management instrument you will not feel as stressed out as you used to be. Number one, individually. When you can cope with stress better, the work environment, the communication between colleagues, between organizations, between different bodies that you have to work with will be a lot easier. Why? Because you will have this title, resilience. So I'd like to guide you in compassion meditation. Compassion meditation is first you try to imagine your frustration at work. You want to do something, but you are prevented from doing so by limitation of the organization, the limitation that exists beyond the organization. Think about this in your experience. Bring your experience into meditation. When you recollect that, when you recall that experience, what would be the emotional reaction? Is it frustration? Is it feeling low? Is it feeling angry? Is it feeling agitation? Is it automatic blaming of someone? Whatever. Just feel that pain. Feel that pain. For 20, 30 seconds, meaning up to half a minute. Just feel that pain. If you blame somebody, the pain you create in your heart. Feel that pain. And then direct your attention towards compassion. Feel compassion for yourself. Feel creating empathy for yourself. One after another, trying to recall that kind of incident. In workplace, at home, in the society. 2, 3, 4 incidences, 5 incidences, trying to recall them. But focusing on yourself alone can make you a self-centered person. So this is a side effect. And the way to overcome this side effect is by focusing on your colleagues who also face the same limitation and experience frustration. Try to focus on them. So number 1 is you, number 2 your colleagues, number 3 the constituent you serve, the people you serve. Trying to imagine their pain. The reason that brings you here in the first place. So 3. 3 contemplation. Number 1, on your own pain, in your work experience. Number 2, your colleagues experience similar experience. Number 3, your constituents, the people you serve. But first, breathe in and out for about 5 times. Mindful breathing. Breathing in 1, 2, 3. Breathing out 3, 2, 1 for 5 times, and then start this compassion. We meditate for 5 minutes. you can now start compassion exercise. Okay, it's 5 minutes now. The time is up. So we have about 15 minutes or so if you have questions. Any question you have to cut the microphone. Another microphone. Machine ဘုံဘုံဟို microphone ရှိတယ်။ဦးလေးရှိတယ်။အားရှိတယ် So any question? Okay, please.
Thank you very much, sir. Very productive, very useful. Individually, definitely, these works very well. But when we look into the society in the modern age, there is competition. Also fear that competition, because of the limited resources, deprivations, and sometimes repercussions which the people fear may not affect them. So then they have a struggle for survival. And they become more proactive, and they sometimes causes damage to other people. I'm a bit surprised that individually it works well, but an individual who is very benign, who has compassion, has the strongest feeling for others, but generally overall the society is very much competitive, and this competition, and most of the people, is unhealthy competition because of the underlying causes of insecurity and massive competition at the population level. So how will this one individual or a few individual who successfully apply and practice compassion as a power for empathizing and sympathizing, it needs to be institutionalized, generally to be applied on the whole population, then it may work. So I would like to know, how is it possible to further magnify this over the society or over the institutional, social, political level, so that everyone can reap the benefits of it, instead one individual struggle to practice his compassion. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your question. I think the second speaker in the video clip, he asked the same question. He asked the same question if this quality of compassion, which works individually at the individual level, would work on system-wise. And he argued it works. And the model he mentioned in Los Angeles has been adopted in reducing crime in the whole country in the United States. There is no other way other than interacting with each other based on compassion to bring the racial tension between black and white in America. So, compassion in the Buddhist tradition is about focusing on problems, discussing problems. In discussing problem, in contemplating on problem, the danger is that we start personalizing and we start creating fear. But if we are aware of this, if we are aware that actually the more we isolate ourselves, the more damage we create on everyone. So if we if we're aware of this, we would be willing to talk to each other and find a win-win situation. In terms of institutionalizing compassion into a system, of course, things work together. Education, traditional custom, and the rules and regulations governing every aspect of the country. These things they work if they all fall on the same line, the line of compassion. United Nations, I like to think that its principle is based on compassion. compassionate interaction. It promotes interaction. It promotes talking to your enemy. So talking to our enemy is an act of compassion. I think only when we look at compassion on individual context, we like to think compassion as weakness, but actually compassion, as Tim used, argued, that come with concrete practices. Concrete practices, the one that he cited in his presentation. I think it will be a very powerful alternative to the politicians, to administrators, and to the decision makers. People fear that they will lose. Compassion ensures that both sides, we win. But in order to do that, each side, we have to compromise. We may not hear the word compassion, but I think for the last maybe 8, 9, 10 years in this country, I like to think that the direction is compassion-based. How far we have succeeded is open to debate, but generally it's moving to that direction. I like to think that way.
Thank you, Mr. And this is also a training and also with the examples of scientific presentation. And we really thankful to you and speaking at our UN office. And one question, and because mindfulness means happiness, and how to train ourselves to get happiness and mindfulness to prevent the sequelae in the society. So, and mindfulness meditation, and speaking in the video, and also the Sayadaw also speak. So, and to get the mindfulness in a faster way, and apart from meditation and what technique and because to concentrate in focus on ourselves and on our body is give us some time in our daily life, and so because we want to get peaceful life and successful life, and
I have been in this profession for over 30 years, so I always have to do some discount. So I'm going to give you some discount, an alternative to meditation. It's actually using awareness of pain. Pain. When I use the word pain, I talk about social pain, individual pain, systematic pain. The pain that comes from the failure of the system, or the pain that comes from collective ignorance. So if we focus more and more on pain, first we are going to see our own nature, our own makeup, if you like, psychological makeup, how we like to react subconsciously. When we think about problem, some people, they panic. They like to solve problems straight away. In this particular case, the Buddha said, okay, don't solve problem. What you have to do with problem is just understand it. Just understand it. What you need to solve is, what you need to do away is the cause of the problem. In medical terms, the problems are the symptoms. The causes of the problems are the underlying causes. If I have a headache because I didn't sleep, I didn't go to bed early, and I don't have enough sleep. If I have headache, this headache, is a problem. I don't need to solve this. I only need to understand this headache. I need to observe this. Because if I don't understand this headache, I wouldn't be able to solve it. Is it because of food that I ate yesterday? Or is it because of the weather in Nebido? I just came from Taitiyo yesterday. Or is it because of exhaustion from travel? Or is it because of something else, because of stress? I need to observe it. So I don't need to solve this headache problem. Some people, they want to solve this problem straight away, so they take paracetamol. They get rid of a headache straight away. They get rid of problem straight away, without knowing what has caused this headache. Meaning they are going to repeat this headache again and again. So the Buddha is saying, don't try to solve the problem. Just try to understand it. Don't try to get rid of the problem. This is to say we need to separate two issues, problem and its causes. Its causes. A doctor who treats only the symptom, is not very educated doctor. It's called, symptomatic treatment. It's a very someone who doesn't take your welfare so deeply into their heart. In the hospital, what they do is they observe why you feel headache. They come and check your blood pressure again and again. And they take all the tests. They are not trying to get rid of the problem straight away. So I'm explaining quite in detail, quite at length now. But just to go back to my point is that the Buddhist approach is problem-based approach. We have to focus on problem again and again and again and again. When you focus on problem, sometimes our stress level increases. Meaning we need to work on this habit. Stress is a habit. It's a habit. And how do we do this? By thinking about the stress of many other people. Many other people. If you get headache, remember, headache is a common problem. Every doctor knows how to treat headache because it's so common. If you know this much, it gives you a lot of hope. So if you think it's so difficult for you to develop concentration, you can use your own thinking and think about other people's pain. Your pain, other people's pain, other people's pain, your pain. This research shows self-compassion cannot be separated from compassion for other people. In the same way, if we focus on pain, on problem, on difficulties that people face, the struggles, and we feel this empathy towards them. That will change our gene, our brain. Okay, this is from Oxford University Press. The genes, the brain, and emotion. How do we change our brain? By changing our emotion. If you feel compassion, you are activating this part of the brain, the hippocampus area. Before I drink this juice, before I drink water, I can feel compassion for my body. This physical body, feel thirsty. Okay, every few hours. Without liquid, this body will not last. Not just my body, all your physical body. So with this, it would take only 10 seconds to think about that. And I take my juice. When this becomes a habit, the compassionate center in the brain is active. When it's active, when it's activated again and again, this research shows, the science of medicine, it shows 30 minutes when you clock up altogether, not 30 minutes, 30 hours. First 8 hours, then 16 hours, then 30 hours. The change in your brain is similar to long-term meditators. Similar to long-term meditators. People who meditate for years, who have meditated for years, and you who have done loving kindness or compassion meditation, the change in your brain will be similar. The change in gamma, in alpha, in our brain, okay, will be in the wave, will be the same. This is according to this scientific research. So if you don't want to go for concentration, that's okay. Now comes a real discount. It's okay. But you need to do some investment. That investment is thinking about the pain and feeling that pain as belonging to common humanity, meaning you and I and everyone. You get my point? Okay. Now, discount and full stop. No more discount.
Question not think about we are practice other kubai that mele alokuna matter to concentrate at the body that kapai. Oh, 18 months, no, took a ten of the water. Or mine not the ting of shop the oh, yeah, no, at the home. I next part of the water at the body of kapai. Oh, Dame, come on, be your go mindful on the we are improve the water. And then they still struggling much. So I think we are meeting now, no? Come right, the table and nine she might you are say here me only nine or to Rodine or Tiga to so the compassion one, now now let people. Now let me come a letter or in Kayuna, now let people. And you go no or then now, or go your back to one, go no then now, to now, or you practice go on, or replicate local, or magnify local. And I really let me alone. She said her bubble and now she by now. So I don't know. Local, practical, or institutionalized local taboo, or good practice lady, or replicate, or local, or title, or look at our local home yet, the nine, or Harbour Land, look at their practice.
Thank you.
ပြောချင်တာပါဆရာကျေးဇူးအများကြီးတင်ပါတယ်
တရားထိုင်တဲ့ပတ်သက်ပြီးတော့စိတ်တည်ငြိမ်မှတရားထိုင်နိုင်မယ်ဆိုရင်လေစိတ်တည်ငြိမ်မှဆိုတော့တရားထိုင်ဖို့မလိုတော့တရားထိုင်မလို့အဲ့ဒါကြောင့်တရားထိုင်တာစိတ်မတည်ငြိမ်တဲ့လူတွေအတွက်ထိုင်တယ်အစပြီးတော့ထိုင်ကြတဲ့ကောကမတည်ငြိမ်တဲ့စိတ်ကိုမြင်အောင်ပဲကြည့်တာတရားထိုင်တာကနှမျိုးရှိတယ်တဲ့မြင်းကိုလေဒီလိုခြံထဲမှာခြံအကျယ်ကြီးထဲမှာလွတ်ထားတာနဲ့တူတယ်လွတ်ပုံလွတ်နေနှမျိုးရှိတယ်ဒါမြတ်စွာဘုရားဟောထားတဲ့ဟောပုံပေါ်ပြန်ပြီးတော့ဟိုပြောပြတာမစ္စည်းမနိကေထဲမှာဟောတာဥပမာလေးနဲ့မတည်ငြိမ်တဲ့စိတ်ကမြင်းရိုင်းနဲ့တူတယ်မြင်းရိုင်းကိုတည်ငြိမ်အောင်လုပ်တဲ့နေရာမှာတခုကတော့ကျိုးတူတူလေးနဲ့တိုင်မှာချီထားလိုက်တာအဲ့ဒါတော့တမာတိကိုအားပေးတာလေတမာတိလမ်းကိုသွားတာပေါ့ဝင်လေထွက်လေကိုအသက်ပြင်းပြင်းနဲ့ရှင်ရှူမယ်နိုင်ကြကြနဲ့လုပ်မယ်ရက်ရှိရှိနဲ့လုပ်မယ်အဲ့ဒါမလို့အဲ့ဒါကကျိုးတူတူနဲ့ချီထားကျိုးရှိရှိနဲ့ကျိုးရှိဆိုတော့ကျိုးတော့မချီပါဘူးဒီလိုခြံပဲခတ်ထားတယ်ခြံပဲခတ်ထားပြီးတော့ဒီမြင်းချောင်းတဲ့လူကတစ်ပင်အောက်တစ်ပင်တစ်ပင်အောက်မှာထိုင်တယ်မြင်းကဒီထမ်းလွတ်ထားတယ်မြင်းကဟိုးဘက်ခြံကိုခုံဖို့လှုပ်လိုက်ခုံခါနီးမှာလှမ်းပြီးတော့អော်လိုက်အဲ့တော့မခုံတော့ဟိုးဘက်ခုံဖို့လှုပ်လိုက်အဲ့လိုလှုပ်တိုင်းတစ်ချက်လောက်သူကိုသတိပေးရင်နောက်ဆုံးကြတော့အဲ့ဒီမြင်းကလည်းပဲသူခံတောင်ဖြစ်သွားတယ်ကျိုးရှိနဲ့ကျိုးတူပဲဆိုပါအခုဘုံပြောတဲ့နည်းကကျိုးရှိကိုပြောတာဒါမှမဟုတ်ကျိုးမထားတာကျိုးမချီထားတာကိုပြောတာဒီနေ့မှာဘုံတို့အတွေးကအတွေးပေါင်း9000လောက်ဖြစ်တယ်9000လောက်ဖြစ်တယ်98%ကမနေ့အတွေးနဲ့တူတူပဲဇလဖဖလေးဝတ်မယ်ကောင်းတာလေးစားမယ်ဒါမျိုးတွေပေါ့မနေ့ကနဲ့တူတူပဲတဲ့ဒီနေ့ကစားရတဲ့ဟင်းနဲ့မထအောင်ဘယ်လိုလုပ်မယ်ဆိုအဲ့ဒီအတွေးတွေပဲတဲ့မနေ့ကဝတ်လာတဲ့အဝတ်စားတွေဒီနေ့သူများအထင်သေးမှဆိုလို့မဝတ်တော့ဘူးအဲ့ဒီအတွေးတွေပဲဖြစ်တာအဲ့ဒီတွေးတွေ repetitive ဖြစ်တဲ့98%80%က negative တွေပဲတဲ့အဲ့ဒီတွေးတွေအဲ့ဒီဟာကိုမမြင်လို့မတွေ့အဲ့တော့မြတ်စွာဘုရားကအတိအခြေခံပြီးတော့ဖြည့်ရှင်းပေးတာဘုံအခုဒီ information တွေရထားတယ်ဗုဒ္ဓကနှစ်ပေါင်း2600ကပေးထား information ဒီနေ့ကျတော့သိပ္ပံပညာကအဲ့ဒီဟာကိုလွယ်ကူအောင်ပို့နားလည်လို့လွယ်အောင်ပြောပေးတယ်ဘုံပါဠိရွတ်မယ်ဆိုအများရွတ်နေတာပေါ့ကုသလောဓမ္မောကုသလသဓမ္မသဟေတုပိစေနပိစေယောဆိုလူတိုင်းကြားနေတာပဲပဋ္ဌာန်းရွတ်တာလေဆိုတာကခေါင်းထဲမှာ positive အတွေးဖြစ်ရင် DNA ထိပြောင်းတယ်ရုပ်တရားတွေထိပြောင်းတယ်စေတစာရုပ်ဆိုတာလေဟိုအဘိဓမ္မာအဲ့ဒီထိပြောင်းတယ်လို့ပြောတာဒါအသုံးပြတဲ့ technique ထဲမြင်กว่าပါဘုံဘွားဒီထဲမှာအင်္ဂလိပ်စာကိုအင်္ဂလိပ်ဟိုတဲ့ဒီ top university ကနေပြီးတော့လောက်ထိုင် research တွေကိုခါပြီးတော့ပြောတယ်အဲ့တော့ပြောချင်တာကစိတ်လွင့်နေတယ်ဆိုတာကိုလွင့်နေတယ်လို့တစ်ချိန်တီးလိုက်ရင်သူ့နှုံးကရပ်သွားတယ်လွင့်နေနှုံးရပ်သွားအဲ့ဒါကိုတစ်ဆင့်တက်ပြီးတော့စိတ်လွင့်နေတဲ့ကိုယ်ကိုတနာလိုက်ရင်တဲ့အဲ့ဒီစိတ်လွင့်တာပို့ပြီးတော့အားနေသွားမယ်နောက်တစ်ဆင့်တက်ပြီးတော့ငါတို့ပဲငါရုံးမှာလွတ်လွတ်နေလူတွေပဲလူတိုင်းကစိတ်တွေလွင့်နေသူတွေနာပထမဆုံး speaker ပြောရေတက်သူကပြောတာတဝက်ကြောဟာကိုလုံနေတဲ့အလုံးနဲ့ကိုအတွေးနဲ့ဘာမှမဆိုင်ဘူးအတွေးကသူရောက်ချင်အောင်ရောက်နေဒီမှာလုံနေတာကစာရေးနေတယ်ဘာလေးလုပ်နေ a duiga, Niarema who yaut your Okono young here. Temezani, Temezara Blamachar, Sake a Payoni Mamudu, Yauchi and Yau. Hang on Sana or Jews have Lullet, hang on Sara Catero, hang on my sake of Mayam. Luda and Lupite. Era Jamulu, Eddie Doka, Eddie shortcoming, Eddie negative experience, Eddie Temani, Madomatele. Luda and Lupite, Nadiam Temahobu. Eddie Hale Driala in. Elu Tida, another look. Nadia Temahobu, Tida, another look. Dilo say it is Luini. But do my sego. A teacher control me yabu. A real dear Luelo, but do my control me yabu. Elo did hatero, doka dide look. Doka dide, another dide. Like night don't matter, winner. Taro, points again and a pure light up, points rolling. Now, Megan to cook you, but not so Megan. Last question, if you have any.
We are going to get the panel, the ask and the time. So I just can't dance the art. Second, I say now, doing this at the ticker computer. I was going to say, the how the ticker and we don't know, the lower the ticker woman. I just want to say that we don't know like that. So kind of one higher than I will not know. I have really a single. But the doesn't go.
English express locally. How about take the process Ellen Lang answer to repeat time, Leila, need laser sheep. Process psychology. To be honest, longer. When you are not there to know that you are not there. The day machine or the dream issues or the devil, the day machine. Edit all. Go the Yala chamber. Vedanaga, 3 below the Kasi Dwine say, my Pascasi is a Pasca Matan Yalu. Sierra Messay, Eddie Ivanka, go with 3 below prescription. Eddie chamber. Oh, bigger, sameness and amne, a tweedem of mule on a area lego, a dimapula, recognize low line. Sitting now could retrace and the black. But a tweedy pit English you are train of thought, your running. It can't well a tweedy nyai, now Buddha, the Buddha, be the Buddha. Joe Dark of Matilan. Tea like a cancer, Buddha, and nyai job. Any Buddha can be retraced located, Taro Masi Saraya. Can be retraced located. Say up a young paro, Sayadaw Dr Dhammasami. A lozy lay out party. Ngayon ay yaw dare sekula yin. Aram yuri nenezi. Quick notice look quarter. Mian san pian biru atima julai. Edi lo low yin edi gap layer to put to her head. Damn you. Tano tia matin. It allows in sim between it, no? Adam chama chava city.